They're in there.
You don't have to die today. Lay down your arms. Your people need you alive.
At 07:15 on July 8, 1944, Private Guy Gabaldon stood at the base of the cliffs on Saipan, looking up at cave entrances where hundreds of Japanese soldiers and civilians were hiding after contemplating suicide. The 18-year-old had already captured prisoners successfully twice, but now he had no backup. The Japanese had launched a massive banzai charge the previous night, lasting about 15 hours, in which over 4,000 Japanese troops died in a suicidal assault. The survivors retreated into volcanic caves along the cliffs. American commanders expected the holdouts to fight to the death or commit suicide rather than surrender. Gabaldon was 5'4", tall, and weighed 130 pounds. He carried an M1 carbine, 4 hand grenades, and spoke street Japanese learned in East Los Angeles. Most Marines on Saipan had rarely seen Japanese prisoners. The Imperial Japanese Army fought fanatically, with propaganda claiming Americans would torture captives, rape families, and desecrate bodies. Surrender brought dishonor worse than death under the Bushido Code. By early July 1944, the 2nd Marine Division had suffered heavy losses on Saipan. Japanese defenders and civilians often chose suicide over capture, including mass jumps from cliffs while holding children. Gabaldon had witnessed hundreds of bodies washing ashore after suicides at Marpi Point. Born in East Los Angeles on March 22, 1926, Gabaldon was the 4th of 7 children. His father worked as a boxmaker and machinist. The family lived in Boyle Heights, a poor neighborhood. From age 10, Guy shined shoes on Skid Row, ran errands in bars, and reported sightings to police for candy rewards. At age 12, he moved in with the Nakano family, Japanese-American twins, Lyle and Lane, his best friends. The Nakanos taught him street Japanese, rough, direct slang from little. Tokyo alleys and shops. After Pearl Harbor in December 1941, the Nakano family was interned at Hart Mountain on September 22, 1942. Gabaldon convinced recruiters he was fluent in Japanese, enough to pass, and attended Marine Japanese Language School at Camp Elliott in San Diego after boot camp. Assigned as a scout and observer to Headquarters and Service Company, 2nd Marines, 2nd Marine Division. The Marines landed on Saipan on June 15, 1944, with 8,000 in the initial assault, facing heavy Japanese artillery on the beaches. Gabaldon wore a baseball cap and aviator sunglasses, thinking it made him look tough. 2 nights after landing, he went out alone without permission, found 3 Japanese soldiers near a cave, ordered them to surrender in Japanese, shot one who resisted, and brought the other 2 back. His commander, Captain John Schwabe, threatened court-martial for abandoning post. The next night, Gabaldon returned, shot a guard, threw a grenade into a cave, then bluffed in Japanese that they were surrounded. About 50 soldiers surrendered. Schwabe dropped the threats and authorized Gabaldon to operate independently as a lone wolf. That was days earlier. Now, on July 8th morning, Gabaldon faced caves holding hundreds of desperate survivors from the failed Banzai charge. Commanders planned flamethrower tanks and artillery to burn or bury them. Gabaldon proposed going alone to persuade surrender, using his Japanese and bluffs. He took 2 prisoners captured the previous day, instructed them to enter caves, and relay that surrender meant food, water, medical care, no torture or execution, and honorable treatment. Warships offshore, bombers overhead, tanks below. Resistance futile. The prisoners climbed. Gabaldon waited below, seeing dark cave openings 50 yards up volcanic rock. Estimates of occupants ranged from hundreds to over 1,000. Morning heat rose above 80 degrees with thick humidity. Gabaldon carried his carbine, grenades, 45 rounds, If attacked, he'd die quickly. The Battle of Saipan started June 15th for B-29 bases 1 for 300 miles from Tokyo. Japan had 32,000 troops and 20,000 civilians defending. U.S. landings faced concealed artillery and mortars, costing 2,000 casualties day one. Japanese built interconnected caves, pillboxes, tunnels. Every position cleared brutally. By late June, Japanese new defeat loomed. Admiral Chuichi Nagumo, Pearl Harbor commander, was trapped. On July 6–7, commanders ordered the final Gyokusai Banzai charge with all able troops. Starting dawn July 7th, thousands charged American lines, screaming with rifles, bayonets, swords, or bare hands. It lasted 15 hours. Over 4,000 Japanese died, accomplishing nothing but mass death. Heavy American losses too, including 650 in the 27th Infantry Division. Survivors hid in northern caves awaiting death. Propaganda fueled fears of American atrocities. Civilians jumped from cliffs with children. Gabaldon waited 30 minutes. No movement. Then soldiers emerged unarmed, walking down paths. More followed. 10, 20, 30 from multiple caves, some carrying wounded, helping civilians. Gabaldon aimed his carbine, ready for tricks, but they continued. He ordered them in Japanese to form lines, sit, no running, or they'd be shot. They obeyed. Numbers grew, 50, 100, 200, 300, 400. Gabaldon, alone with a carbine, now surrounded. Some still armed but surrendering. He separated soldiers, civilians, wounded to buy time as more emerged. 500, 600. A Japanese officer in full uniform descended alone, rigid posture. Gabaldon spoke. Resistance over. Navy destroyed in Philippine Sea. No reinforcements. Surrender means survival. Officer asked about treatment, food, care, no torture. Separation of soldiers. Soldiers, civilians, medical for wounded. No looting personal items. Weapons, yes. Conversation lasted minutes amid growing crowd. 700, 800. Gabaldon pointed to offshore warships and patrol aircraft. Caves could be destroyed. Officer looked, bowed slightly, agreed, shouted orders. More emerged in groups, limping, carrying wounded. Now. 800 prisoners on beach, Gabaldon alone. No radio, no transport. Risk of dispersal. Attack or friendly fire mistaken for enemy. He ordered officer to form columns. Soldiers front, civilians rear, wounded middle, tight, no talking, running or shot. Made makeshift white flag from undershirt on branch, gave to front soldier to wave constantly. Column marched north along beach toward American lines. Gabaldon front with flag bearer, carbine visible but down. After 20 minutes, spotted 3 Marines 300 yards ahead taking cover. Gabaldon waved arms, shouted, "American, prisoners, do not shoot." Marines hesitated. One aimed. Gabaldon stopped column, raised hands, turned to show uniform, shouted name, rank, unit. Lead Marine lowered weapon, approached cautiously. Gabaldon explained, 800 surrendered from cliffs that morning. Marines stared, asked how one private did it, talked in Japanese, promised care, pointed to ships. One ran for reinforcements. Trucks arrived with Captain Schwaber. He saw the formation, asked details. Gabaldon reported, sent prisoners in with offer, negotiated with officer, marched out. No backup, no radio, but authorized lone wolf. Schwaber ordered securing and transport to Charan Kanoa. Processing 800 took hours. Searches, confiscations, logging personal items, separated military civilians, medical for wounded. Intelligence officers interrogated. Surrendering officer provided details on remaining 2,000 Japanese in northern caves. Low supplies, awaiting death. Valuable intel aided final operations, likely saving lives, but Gabaldon uncredited in reports. Largest single capture by one individual in U.S. history that day. Story stayed quiet, no widespread recognition. Gabaldon resumed operations next weeks, capturing smaller groups. Some Japanese sent messengers requesting him specifically. Total over 1,300 soldiers, civilians across Saipan, Tinian, most by any American in Pacific or any war. Schwaber recommended Medal of Honor, downgraded by General Holland Smith to Silver Star, no explanation. On Tinian, August 1944, Gabaldon continued persuasions. August 15th approached cave, 3 soldiers emerged armed, talking surrender when machine gun ambushed from flank. Gabaldon dove, patrol-pinned, spotted flanking Japanese, shot them to stop grenade attack, alerted gunner. Crawled to cave, grenaded it, pulled out 2 wounded surrenderers, bandaged them, hit in leg by machine gun round, through and through. Tourniquet continued, called surrender to gunner, refused. Marines flanked during distraction, grenaded position, captured survivors. Patrol evacuated Gabaldon, wound Sirius, ended combat tour. Hospital ship to Hawaii, recovery months, medical discharge. Schwaber resubmitted Medal of Honor with witnesses, intel value 1,300 captures. Downgraded again to Silver Star. Gabaldon discharged November 1944, returned to Los Angeles, age 18, limp permanent, nightmares persistent, struggled adjusting, few believed his story. Silver Star ceremony 1945, small, no press. War ended 1945, Gabaldon felt emptiness. 1957, This Is Your Life episode verified captures with veterans. 1960 film Held to Eternity dramatized story. Month after release, Silver Star upgraded to Navy Cross, second highest Valor Award. Gabaldon lived on Saipan 20 years, business, family, youth programs. Japanese visitors thanked him for humane treatment. Published memoir, 1990. Advocated Medal of Honor, upgrade lifelong. Suspected bias campaigns in 1990s, 2000s, stalled on time limits. Received Chesty Puller Award 2005 for under-recognized heroism. Died August 31, 2006, age 80. Buried Arlington with honors. Navy Cross, Silver Star, Purple Heart recipient. His methods influenced military psychological operations, cultural training, proving persuasion could save lives where force failed. Memorial plaque on Saipan honors Pied Piper. Visitors leave thanks for dignity shown ancestors.